Recording has started.
Yes.
There we
Yes.
go. All right. So if you all don't mind, since we have about 16 people on session here, now we're going to 17 people and increasing. Let's just go around the room real quickly and introduce ourselves. Name, company that you're with, and maybe your interest in this topic. And feel free to go first, or I'll be calling on you.
I'll go
Anyone
first.
wants
Kick it off.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Okay, so I am Tamara Means, the CEO of a small beverage company in Louisville called Paradise Island Tea. And I was actually passed on some information through email about the World Trade Center here in Kentucky. And I'm just here to see what's going on and see some future opportunities.
Awesome. Next.
I'm Hal Teagarden, Director, Member Relations, World Trade Center, Kentucky.
Next.
I can go. I'm Martin Yelm. I'm with Vaimo. I'm actually part of the team here who's going to be presenting one of the topics today. And so I'll have an opportunity to talk a little more about that in a second.
Very nice. I'm going to go ahead and mute all, and whoever is going to go next, please unmute yourself while you speak. So Brian, you're next.
Hey, thanks, Omar. My name is Brian Miller. I'm with the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Commercial Service. We are essentially the trade and investment section for all the U.S. embassies and consulates around the world, and we work closely with Omar in many cases to help companies like your all's develop export channels and export markets overseas. Thanks.
Marta, you want to go next?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Marta Çalakolu, and I'm joining you from the UK, London, actually. I have my colleague on the call here, you can see, and I'm working for Wiley, John Wiley & Sons, the global leader in publishing and research company, and we're very interested how we can expand our digital commerce and products around the globe. Thank you.
Good to have you. I've worked with John Wiley on a number of different books in the past. John, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Skinner. I am with Wiley Publishing as well, and I work with the U.S. federal government as one of my main clients. I also manage our corporate solution sales teams, and this is my first time attending, and just wanted to learn more about how we can better work together. So looking forward to it.
Megan, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Megan Riddle. I'm the marketing coordinator at Kentucky Equine Research. So we are an equine feed and nutrition company in Versailles. And I'm joining the call just to hear about the trends and what's going on and what's recommended on website building and how we can better adjust our website for our customers and the user experience.
Good to have you. Eileen?
Hi, I'm Eileen Fithian, and I'm the COO of Kentucky Equine Research and work with Megan. And so I invited her to join in on this, and I've had some other experiences with the World Trade Center, and they've been positive. So I just thought, same thing. We'll see what's going on in the world of web for business.
Good to have you. Okay, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon. I'm a partner with Global Waste Solutions. We're an energy management company out of Louisville, Kentucky. We just got the invite yesterday and looking forward to learning more about what's going on, how we can work together and grow.
Rita?
Hi, I'm Britta Inman, and I work with CSI Group. We are contractors of Toyota, and I work a lot with importing and exporting parts that are used on the factory lines, building the lines. Thank you.
Very nice.
I forgot.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This is the beauty of this digital operation. You know, we've got people from all over the state and we've got people from all over the world joining us. Okay, Julia.
Hi, my name is Julie. I'm an intern for the World Trade Center.
And you are in Lexington.
Yes.
Excellent. Mary was on the call a minute ago. Did she drop off?
No, I'm still here.
Hi, Mary. There you are.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Niekamp, and I run the State Trade Expansion Program at the Cabinet for Economic Development. And I'm interested in, of course, meeting all of you through this program and possibly letting you know about the State Trade Expansion Program grant. So maybe we can help cover some of the costs that go with exporting products. Look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Good to have you on the call, Mary, as always. Wonderful partner. So, you know, the World Trade Center, the U.S. Department of Commerce, and the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development are the three crucial partners when it comes to exporting across the state. And, you know, we work hand in hand on a regular basis, definitely on a weekly basis, if not on a daily basis. All right. Have I left anyone else out? Anyone else? I'm trying to see if there's any other names. Okay, yeah, there's Sarah and Henry, definitely. Go ahead, Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sara Moreno. I'm with the U.S. Department of Commerce's International Trade Administration, and more specifically, the U.S. Commercial Service. I'm in Lexington. You already heard from my colleague Brian Miller in Louisville. I'm one of the speakers. I think you'll hear from me toward the end of the hour, but I just want to say good morning, good evening, and welcome, and glad to have this chance to interact with you.
Henry?
Hello, everyone. I'm Henry. You will hear a lot from me today because I'm giving the talk along with Sarah. So I work at Vaimo, and I'm head of consulting and UX there. I'm a bit nomadic in the last couple of months. Today I'm in the UK. I'm based out of Estonia. I was in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, Los Angeles before there, and I cover the US and our international territories. So it's yeah. So really pleased to be here to talk to you guys about B2B in the digital space. So.
Well, we're really glad to have Sarah and Henry both with us today, and I skipped you guys to the last because I knew that you will have a little bit more time to chit chat with all of us and what have you. Yeah, Henry, I wonder if there's days when you wake up in the morning and you're like, where am I today? You know. Which country?
I have a newborn. Well, she's 18 months now, so I'm in a perpetual state of jet lag and wondering, did I get enough sleep? So I definitely have that feeling a lot.
Very nice. Rania, we are introducing ourselves. So would you like to introduce yourself?
I think I've got the audio on, right?
Yeah, you do.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rania Toom. I'm an attorney in Louisville, Kentucky, who is growing a practice in international relations and trade.
Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we've covered the basis for everyone here. So again, welcome to the Trade Chat. We're very excited about this opportunity. I think, it's an interactive discussion. Sarah and Henry are going to take us through some key points. So without further ado, I turn it over to Martin.
Thank you, Omar. And Henry, while you spin up the deck or the presentation here, just want to say, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today and share some of our knowledge and expertise around this space. Henry's definitely the expert, so I'm going to leave the talking to him. But I'll give you kind of just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today. and I'll also introduce Vaimo real quick. But as Henry's pulling up the presentation, as I mentioned, my name is Martin Yelm. I'm with Vaimo. I am located in Louisville, Kentucky. Actually, today I'm in New York, but I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been living there for about 25 years now. And Vaimo as a company, we have a slide on that, but we like to call ourselves a full service digital experience partner focusing on the commerce space. So we've been in business for, I guess, since 2008. So quite some time. We originally started in Sweden. That's where our corporate headquarters is. But today we exist in around 15, actually 16 countries around the globe. We have been in the US officially with an office for the last, I think we're in our 5th year now. And we recently moved our headquarters to Louisville, Kentucky. So that's where we're operating our US business unit out of. But at a high level, I'm not going to go too deep on this. As I mentioned, our specialty is in the digital experience and commerce space. So we work mainly with manufacturers, brands, retailers, to help them figure out and then also sell their products online, internationally, and also domestically. So we have services that can help in anything from a strategic perspective, figure out how to best approach it, to building the digital experience, to then also designing and building the digital experience, and then also optimizing it and growing it over time. So that is Vaimo. With that in mind, I think if we want to go to the next slide, I think we're going to hand it over to Henry, who's going to take us into the meat of this talk today, which is around creating customized digital experience for B2B buyers. Go ahead, Henry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the title of the show, creating customized digital experiences for B2B buyers, it breaks into 3 core components of that essence of what we want to talk about in the next half an hour, 40 minutes or so. The customized piece I wanted to pull out is because today clients are changing faster than they have done in business before, and they're having more diverse needs in the way that they want to do business and the way that we need to react to the way they want to do business. If you look at the way COVID has revolutionized the digital kind of adoption through businesses, the fact that we're working from home, the fact that we've got different shift patterns, and the fact that there was a global change that happened all at once, big step, means that we have a new driving workforce coming into the market, and they are a lot more digital savvy than the old dogs like myself. Mentioning my child, even she now automatically knows how to swipe the phone when I give it to her, and she can change the tunes on Spotify, which, you know, it still takes me a while to figure out. So the diversity of the way people want to do business is key with customization. In the experiences area, I'm going to double click into that now, but it's at its core, it's how are you creating an exceptional experience for your customers. And then with B2B buyers, I wanted to anchor on that because B2B is always seen as a very separate way of doing business, but people are people and people buy from people. And those B2B customers will jump off your website and suddenly become a B2C customer. Will suddenly jump on a government website and they'll fill out a form there. They'll jump to their, maybe they're studying, and they'll go to the institution website. The segmentation and the mindset of the intent of that buyer may be slightly different, but the way that they're using digital should always be back to that core, which is that exceptional digital experience. And we frame that as, and you guys may have heard of it before, as being customer centric. It's about no longer putting on having a digital website or a presence, and it's about actually thinking more like the customer than we ever have done before. So Gartner's definition of that is the ability to, of all people within your organization, to understand customers' situations, perceptions, and expectations. It's a case of not just saying, I have a product and you want to buy that product, but it's knowing what's that product's life beyond what it's used for. There are many examples of products that have been invented that aren't used for their core purpose because customers found a new way to do that. You can look at Coca-Cola wasn't invented as a drink at the time. The same as I think Lucozade was invented as a cleaning product, and now we use it in our mouth. So there's lots of kind of innovation of what customers' end solutions are to the way that they're using your product, and it's their pain points that we're trying to understand and how we're going to match them better, so it's easier for us to do business together. It also means around having a true interest and motivation to help the people that do their better job. Now that might be within your organization. It could be streamlining your processes to free up time to offer a better service than you're doing before. But it is also to enable the end user of your product. So it may not be directly the business who's purchasing the product, but the very end user of that to do their job better, faster, quickly. And therefore they will more advocate and more recommend and love and have a more meaningful engagement with what you are selling and servicing. To anchor back on back into the Gartner report, and just to highlight, I will share this deck with you guys, or we will share this deck out to you, and you have the recording. But there's a few links in here. There's a lot of content to go through, so I'll give you the highlights, and then you can double click into this content to validate it. But back into the narrative. 80% of B2B sale interactions between buyers and suppliers will take place digitally channeled by 2025. That's the estimation of trend of where it's going. So that seems like quite a far away, considering that a lot of us are used to picking up the phone or at least having some sort of human interaction. 80% seems a bit radical, but if you look at the trending year on year, that is a hockey stick upward trend over the last 10, 15 years. And so this should be something to be very conscientious of, that digital is playing a bigger part, a bigger role to play in our daily lives. To back that up, 44% of millennials with the Gartner research that was done prefer a no sales rep interaction in doing their purchasing. That doesn't mean that the sales rep is now redundant and we should all let them go. That's not the purpose of that. It still means that there's an engagement that's required, but it's more giving them more facilities and more self-servicing to allow sales reps to do a deeper and more kind of growth enablement and less cold calling and less hard selling of the product. To back that up with other research that we've had from McKinsey and Deloitte and other sources that we have, if you look at the way in the world of commerce, 42% of B2B buyers are willing to spend between $50,000 and $500,000 for a product and service online. That's that's a lot of money for somebody to press a couple of clicks and to be purchasing products quite confidently without needing to talk to somebody. And it's the trending movement is going upwards there. Through multi-channel, but buyers are actively looking for other suppliers if they can't purchase or easily find the information that they want through your site. So if they can't engage with you, be confident to purchase with you, they will actively go and look elsewhere for another supplier who can do similar. And that's supported by the access around information. 41% and increasing of B2B buyers rate a vendor's website as their #1 source for making purchase decisions. And that's the case that the trend is increasing rapidly, that they will look at your website, they will check the credibility of it, the authority that you have, even to the point with, does the design look relevant? Are you even a bona fide business? Are they getting the information that they want? So it's not enough to look at websites in a past way that said, hey, we've got a brochure, we've got a bunch of products. Do you want it? Yes or no? Give us a call. That's not the way that they're looking to do their research anymore. The website is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting than it has done before. And you can see that within the self-service as well. Oh, I've just lost my screen. 1 second. 70% of the buyers of the buying process is now completed before you even speak to a salesperson. There is that much content out here. We're very aware that we have more content, I think is it almost every day than we have in the last 100 years. The amount of information that's being put on the web, the information that we can find, the sources, the materials, the way that we can do our own research. We like to do our own self-study before we go out and start communicating. And so therefore a lot of the awareness and the education is already there before we go and engage with a sale. And that's quite good in another way, because you're getting straight to kind of the granular and the USPs and the benefits of your product, rather than doing the very core foundation of your sales. But it's also knowing that you have to be geared for that as well. So I'm going to pause there for a second. I didn't know if there's any questions people wanted to jump in there. Otherwise, I'll jump into the next example of what I mean by customer centricity. I'll take the silence as active listening. So we use this example of Bobby. He's an electrical installer. He runs his own company, and we supply him with the equipment that he needs. So from our point of view, we know that he wants to buy a switch and some cables, and we think that's our transaction done. Really, in his world, we're looking at much more wider dynamic than a small part of his day. We think our transaction is almost weighted because that's what it's purchased, and now he's unable to do his job. But he needs, he has many other factors in terms of customers wanting to buy their own materials to save money. He's got multivariate jobs that are on the go at any one time. Clients' material costs and proposals are taking him a long time away from actually doing the work. He doesn't have the tools specifically for this job, so he has to go out and hire external pieces. What materials does he need for a project? He needs to know where to invoice them, so he has several components that need to always be moving around. And he also hires freelance employers, installers on the same project, and he's really a bottleneck for administration. So if you were thinking of yourself as around, well, if I'm sending him a switch, how do I send him invoicing? How do I potentially give him an ID code that he can put in so he can register that? What are the tools that I can do that makes buying some cable much easier to alleviate the days and the stresses that he has on the administration side or the actual installation job itself? So it's thinking really about what is the customer, what are they doing, not is what are we selling them. In the digital world, there is the maturity curve that you need to look at, and the stepping on point doesn't mean that when we say customer centric or how to become the best B2B operation that people have ever seen, it doesn't mean that you need to get there quite within a year or 6 months, etc. It is a journey, and many businesses that we work with are fully on that journey. And so it's a case of where is your stepping on point. From a crawl point of view, we look at website, making sure that you have an online product and catalog, that you have a sales database that you can cross-reference, that your inventory is there, that you know when you can make commitments to sell products. But moving forwards on that, you can walk fast, and you can move into the walk and run pace, which is how do I get into online product ordering, more into the self-serve world. What data do you have? So how is your inventory being managed? Where are your customers coming from? What are the things that they're looking for? Where are you losing them within your digital sphere? So understanding what is turning your customers on, but also off, and that's where data can really show unlock some insights or where your missed customers might be. Also, you might be doing more active paid, social media, SEO activity to make your digital fingerprint a little bit more defined and a little bit more broad sweat, especially when you're going into maybe out of states or maybe even international. How do you talk that language in its local environment to make sure that you're meeting the need of those customers? Sometimes your product may not be exactly what each other market is looking for, or there might be in a higher competition area, or you might be able to dominate that market very quickly. So it's understanding how to go in there fast, which we can talk about that later in the second part of the talk. Then you're looking at run, which is around omni-channel. So if you have stores, or you have multiple vendors, or you have different distribution centers, or you have a last mile fulfillment in terms of delivery systems, or you have collection processes, or your customers may come in from different parts of the organization, it's knowing how do you stitch that together. And then you can be looking at dynamic pricing by clients. They may have preferential rates or tiered pricing depending on volume that they're doing. So how do you make it a little bit more seamless for them to get more loyalty out of yourself? And then with that data that you're also pushing in, that you now have the insight, you can do more effective upsell, cross-sell, even moving into subscription modeling. And then with flying, that's where you're hearing all the news and all the noise that is what everybody's talking about in LinkedIn and in the business forums. AI is a big chat. It is a big conversation right now. Moving into predictive support services, moving into absolute one-to-one personalization and knowing the customer better than themselves. There are companies doing this. They are not doing everything. So what I want to kind of highlight is that this journey doesn't need to be daunting. It's the idea of how do we do little things that that making more of a significant difference, but moving along that digital channel of maturity.
Henry, before you move on, this is Omar. You go back one slide if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I would assume that many of us attending the session here are in the crawl, walk, you know, space. Maybe there are some, I'm making an assumption here, there are some in the run and fly space, and I hope that is the case. But can you, you know, so I'm going to use the World Trade Center as an example. You know, I've been at the helm of the World Trade Center for about 18 months right now, and I've been trying to increase our digital space. So, you know, I've done a couple of paid videos to show our events. I've gone and worked with a company to improve our SPE activity. You know, we do our typical newsletter, we do our, you know, our social media here and there, but it doesn't seem like we're figuring out who is our target market. All of this is not generating in response. I mean, there's activity.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at my social media profile today compared to a year ago, you know, I'm much better. I'm not talking
You're getting
about
the likes, Omar.
You know, I'm talking about the World Trade Center, and I thank all of you, and some of you are on this call that, you know, repost our activities and things of that nature. But you know, we want to see not 18 participants signed to the trade chat. We want to see 100 people signed to the trade chat. How can we, tell me a little bit more about how can we move the needle, if I, you know, with figuring out our target market?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a few slides, so I'll probably repeat myself, or I will skip past them. But the idea is a lot of this starts with defining what the vision is of what you're about. So the World Trade Center wants to, it exists for a very strong purpose, and it is about doing A, B, and C. So what are your USPs? What is it that you're in the world to do? And once you have defined that very cleanly, it doesn't have much to do with digital at that point, but the idea is then how do we use digital to unlock those components? So the concept being we work with a lot of big clients as well who don't understand what their North Star is, or a lot of the teams don't have pure focus on more than their day-to-day job, and that's a very honest problem that most businesses have, because we do get caught in the day-to-day. Things need to be moved on, things need to be communicated. There are to kind of keep the gears turning, you need to do those things. But having that vision, that bigger play at the top, is that it really defines what you should be spending your time and where you should be focusing, and who are the customers that you want, that you wish to be targeting. So this then builds you into your personas. Who are the customers who are going to benefit from your offering? Who are the people that you're not targeting? And why? Or is there a way or an angle that you should be targeting them, or could be, that you haven't unlocked yet because your website's not communicating in that way, or it doesn't have the relevant buzzwords or content that's really attracting them in? So that's when you're then moving into your content of, if you can't physically go and talk to somebody, if you can put your ads out there, like you say, you're doing some paid media, you're getting your SEO out there. So some of these things don't happen overnight. An SEO optimization program could take 6 months to a year before you start yielding really significant results, but you need to be putting the inroads in now, and you need to have the clarity of where is it that you want to be found and discovered in that digital kind of map. Once you've defined where you want to go, who are you serving, what is your offer, once you're kind of clear and honest and pure about that, then you know how you can diversify. And all we're talking about is digital has that ability to find those customers who are out there, who are online. Where are you targeting the adverts to the right people? Are you getting the clicks? If you're not getting the click-throughs, if you're not getting the response that you're wanting, then how do you tweak, optimize, tune, and change the narrative? How do you change the conversation? And that's where data really comes in. Looking at what you have and saying, okay, this is what we can see, and this is some of the kind of the unknown space that we need to go in and explore. Or actually, we're not getting any hits in this area because it's far too competitive, because there are other businesses who are attracting the noise, or maybe you're just not getting the right exposure to the right people. So that's where, for me, moving from having a website with a few pieces of awareness out there, maybe a blog post or so, these things need to be run with consistency, and need to be fresh and relevant and engaging, but it will only be as good as the customers that it's reaching at the end, especially in a B2B organization. So that's where you need to really know who you're targeting, because a B2B audience is a little bit more refined and slimmer than it would be for a catch-all D2C market, where if you're selling jackets, anybody might want a jacket. But if you're selling specific services, you're talking to fewer organizations. So it's knowing what are those organizations that you're targeting, and how do you get into them? What is the terminology they're using? What are the issues that they are facing? What is keeping them up at night? So it's really learning about your customer, and then you know that you're armed with the right materials to go and have that conversation with them, and you have the answers of how to solve those problems. If it's a point of service, so once you have a bit of that that kind of foundation, then you know exactly how your product can solve that need. So then you're working on a point which is, well, if I've got customers starting to buy or subscribe to this world, how do I make it sticky? How do I keep them coming back for more? How do I get that retention? How do I make them advocates, that they say, hey, you should join the World Trade Center next call. It's really useful. I picked out 5 golden tips or something, and maybe you display that and communicate that. And you don't need to be breaking, banging your head against the wall to figure out what this is. Look at your peers, look at what they're doing, look at other people in different industries. If there are a lot of articles out there that show you what is the ideal cadence of email communication to your customers, how much content you should be putting on there. There are rules about even how many bullet points you should be using, 3, 5, or 7, but never 2, 4, or 6, because for some reason we find, there's small UX, UI triggers that can help make your content more sticky, more readable, in the sense that people will open it each time they read it. So it's a bit of a moving beast, and there isn't one kind of tick box, but the idea is there's a lot of sources of information out there before you even need to, tweak your website. If it's a case of great kind of getting better audience, sometimes it's about tuning the content, making the site fresh and relevant. How do you keep it updated so people want to come back for more? Making it more discoverable through SEO, making sure that your paid ads are going to the right content that's landing on there, and people are getting the salient information more quickly. So I don't know if that answers your question purely, but you don't need to do everything all at once. Just focus on a few of the things and you'll see marginal gains. The idea is having that roadmap and a plan that goes towards your ideal goal.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to show a few examples of it says fly examples, and that sounds like a kind of 70s cool, but what we mean is in the fly zone of what some major companies that we're working with, or noise or things that we're hearing out there, which is, we work with a company in Europe called Bauhaus, and they're like the Home Depot in the US, and they were having a real problem with their last mile fulfillment. Their delivery times were really low. So they did the opposite of what most people think of doing, is they started getting a sense of volume, which was lucky, and of shipments, and then they bought their own fleet, and they actually owned their own management and logistics service at the very end. What this enabled them to do was unlock within multiple hours of wholesale and B2B orders So they went from D2C straight into B2B because they could deliver on site due to customers' orders in same day response of volume. So they actually took control of their last mile delivery and management process. This enabled salespeople to actually talk to their business customers a lot easier and kind of back up their claims and promise delivery and be more reliable as a service overall. Another great example is Philips. So with not so much their toothbrushes, but more their medical and large technologies that they have, their machines, they put in RFI sensors that actually trigger a warning when a piece of their technology is about to come to end of life. So therefore, on a subscription service, they now sell maintenance. And therefore, without any call or any downtime, an engineer will come and say, I got a warning signal and I've come here and I'll be here tomorrow and I will come and fix and make your machine operational. So they're using sensors to make sure that they're serving customers before the customers know that there's a problem with their equipment. I'm going to jump to another two because in light of time. Costco did a really nice kind of, I wouldn't say it's fly, even the basics where they move from B2B delivery. So they will do shipping for B2B customers, and then they open up their doors earlier, I think an hour earlier, before they let us all come in and have hot dogs and ice creams. So business customers can get in there within a quieter time. NCR is, you may know them as National Cash Registers through the US. Everyone who has the self-serve machines and the ATMs, they actually listen to their customers actively. And when there's a problem that they can't answer for, they actually spin up a hackathon, which is an intense workshop that's done internally at NCR. And then they solve the client's unmet need. It helps productize a solution, but they do it directly with the focus of serving that one customer. And they do that for free. And so they think of ways to add value to the customers by purely gamifying through a hackathon to solve client needs. And another, what's really cool is DHL are now moving to autonomous last mile collection vehicles. That's a bit abstract and out there and takes a lot of investment potentially for this audience, but it's a autonomous robot car that drives to a location, maybe your business, and says, hey, I'm here for the next 20 minutes. Come and please deliver your package before it goes on. So you can do mass deliveries of business mail and packaging. But an Optimizely is a good one. So they're an A/B testing platform. They're a SaaS software. And they put a lot of their content, they spend a lot of time writing articles and how-to guides. And they have a big training facility to support all of their customers to ensure that they keep using their tool. They found that 80% of their customers fall off and stop using their product within 8 months. The data was telling them this, and the feedback was telling them that you have a problem with churn on your customers. So they built this onboarding and retention service. So they invested into that to make sure customers are what they classed as loving working with Optimizely continuously. So it's through these digital portals, but it comes down to, again, to that just answering human needs, who are the end users. I'm going to skip through this slide quickly and jump into the kind of maturity chart that we use. So at the bottom, you'll see there is interested, invested, engaged, dedicated, and they move in from how do you move yourself purely into a business that's absolutely customer obsessed and centered as your business. The idea is from the very first two is interested and invested. You need that continuous feedback. You need to have the ear. You need to have the know what your customers are saying, thinking, feeling, and doing, and how they're using your product. If you don't know that, you are literally doing a transactional based relationship, and that's not really what the B2B kind of ethos is truly about. From that, you can activate data to give those insights, to say, hang on, let's tweak this, let's automate that, let's think about talking to our clients about these topics that they're interested in on a more regular basis, rather than what I think we should write to them and tell them. Then you're moving into engaged, which is where you really need to, which is where a big blocker is around customer centricity, which is getting the culture and strategy within your company to truly own it, believe it as well. Because everybody from the legal team to finance need to understand what are the pain points of the customers. How do I make sure that my invoicing goes out in a way that customers want to receive it? How do I make sure that my terms and conditions of our products are legally sound to be sold in different states or in different environments? What are the warnings that they need to be known about? What is the end customer thinking, and how are they using this product? How do we, from an operational point of view, how do we remove a few steps so we can actually make sure the packaging gets out there sooner? How do we improve returns of products, or how do we back up the claims of information that we're imparting if we're selling knowledge? So it's, how do I, as a person within the business, truly think about what am I doing that's going to affect and help and support my customer? Then you can move into the solutions around customer journey, which is, okay, we're all a team, we're all united, we all have our different departments, or we're all different heads of what we're doing. What is it my responsibility? What are the projects that mean the most, that's going to make the most difference to our customers and benefit the business? It's still a two-way exchange. And then that's when you become a fully prioritized customer value organization. And your conversations change. But the focus on the first two is that customer mindset. Again, like you're saying, if we're at a starting off point, I think the quote I love the most, in God we trust, but all others bring data. There are 4 types of pillars that of information that you need to be thinking about. The quantitative in terms of analytics, qualitative in terms of interaction monitoring, sorry. So how the customer is interacting with your product, what is their thought process of purchasing your product, etc. Then you're looking at behavioral, so the on-site expectations. So when they land on your website, what is the information what is the experience? What is the services that they're expecting? And are you matching the needs that they're coming in there? Are you solving their pain points and their problems? And then it's the mindset. So looking at the way people seek for advice, what are the warnings about the products? What are the deterrents about the services and how are they comparing you to the other people? Why should they spend their time or their money or their energy with you more than anywhere on any other site or before engaging with any other business? If they're going to get into a longer term relationship, which B2B engagements tend to be, what is the convincing components that need them to go, oh yeah, these are the people I want to get on board with. They talk my language. And so analytics comes from your data. Interacting monitor comes from heat maps or sources or user testing. On-site expectations can come from real-time customer feedback or surveys that you run. And mindset analysis can come from your customer service teams, can come from your sales teams in terms of what is the feedback that you're getting. Maybe you have reviews. Maybe you're seeking feedback potentially at the end of your email or communications that you mentioned earlier, Omar, for example. You could say, hey, want to learn something else? Or you can ask open questions and see if people start replying and see the way that they're talking and what they're looking for. So I'm going to take a beat there. I know we've got 15 minutes left, so I'll take it a very high level for the next couple of slides before I move on over to Sarah. But wanted to kind of introduce the playbook. So there are 5 core components of that: customer centricity, which I've labored on in this talk, but it's a very kind of core one that kind of sets up the other components for success. The next one being around digital capabilities. So what are your capabilities that are required within the organization? Where do you need to partner up? So what are the skills, strengths? Where are some of the gaps that you're missing to have the full digital end-to-end kind of communication and conversation and relation that you want with your customers? Because that will underpin where your technology is, which is around what is your as-is state, and where is the digital capabilities going to take you to your to-be state that you'd like to be. So that doesn't necessarily mean you want to be flying in our kind of maturity scale, but where are you today, and what 4, 5 to 10 ideas of service could you improve across your business that would optimize the way that you're doing work today? If you think of a lot of the conversations we have with clients and a famous quote being around what got you here today may not get you where you want to be tomorrow, then it's understanding, well, what is that gap change? What is the step that we need to do to mature out into a different level of service that we're giving our customers online today. Maybe the platform can't cope with all the new ways that you want to do business. Maybe you haven't integrated your data to actually see how your customers are interacting through your full life cycle. Maybe it's a big change to install a full customer service portal where they can start serving. But what would be the level down, and what would be an acceptable kind of step up that customers would go, oh, that's better than what we had yesterday. This is really good. Once you have some of those pieces in play, and you're not going to do them in one big bang, it's good to kind of move them out, is how do you onboard your clients into the fact that you've got a new way of engaging? How do you find, and well, like you mentioned with the, how do we get the customers, how do we get them engaged? How do we get your clients and people engaged with you, and building out that you want hundreds of people here? How do you build that noise? How do you build that energy around it? Well, how do you get us who are on the call today to be advocates and communicate that more? So what are some of the tactics and strategies? What are some of the technologies that you need at play? Maybe you need a like and share button at the end of this talk. Maybe it's a follow-up email that has a request or an ask at the end of it that does the same. So small pieces of technology can make a big difference. Or maybe it's a fundamental core feature that you want to change on your website that improves your SEO rankings significantly. And then circling around on to these points is around delivering. You want to be able to do it fast. You want to be able to do it scalably. You don't want to have these massive projects that's going to take 6 to 8 months to unlock and could be a sunk cost, and you're pinning all your hopes on. It's good to iteratively move in that direction and say, okay, let's try this. I think that can make a small difference in our comms. Let's try this. We can give customers a PDF inventory of all of their orders over the last year, and we'll just keep it so they've got access to it in their customer portal. It doesn't need to be big, significant changes. It needs to be marginal iterations and evolutions that continuously improves the digital experience that you're having today. And there are low-hanging fruit and there are quick wins just by looking at what other B2B businesses are doing today. And you can say, okay, this is where people are understanding or are used to or are engaging with. So that's their norm. Are we at their norm yet? And then how do we start excelling and exceeding where the normality is? I won't last too long on this either. It's just you guys may have seen this before. It's the 5 stages of customer conversion. So first you have awareness. Are they aware of who you are? Then they discover more about you or the product. They're searching for something that's going to solve their need. They evaluate your product, your service, your offering versus other competitors in the sphere of consideration set. And then they make the order. And if we are removing friction, are there barriers to purchase? Can I actually see the price? Do I know what I'm getting involved in? And then once you have acquired them, how are you retaining them? How are you continuously engaging them? So out of the 5 core components, you can use that as a framework to say, okay, if I'm a customer going through this journey with my business, how am I aware of you in the first place? How is the ordering with you? In terms of how do I subscribe to this, for example, our talk, or how do I order 6,000 cases of beverages, for example, or if I'm doing energy management, how do I know how I'm tracking against other users? Is there a way of understanding how my business is performing? Am I getting the results that I'm looking for? And then how do I retain? How do I become an advocate? How do I say, hey, to my business peers, to my friends and colleagues, you should join this, or you should buy from these guys, or you should subscribe to this. It's really good. So if you break it up into these 5 core stages, that's a really good starting point to see how your customer life's journey is going. This is what we would call brilliant basics. So these are some of the kind of starting points that you might want to consider around the B2B world in terms of customer experience. So do you have a fantastic mobile experience? More and more customers are moving to mobile as they're navigating and researching your product. Can you navigate and filter into the content or that I want to find? How do I get to the pricing and agreements? How do I reorder my products? Do I have a company portal that I can constantly go back to and know that I can start from there and it saves my company information, or do I have to continuously put in all my details each time. So do you know me as a customer? So that's a really good area and an ecosystem to kind of digitally connect with people. So there's some kind of starting off points here for inspiration. And then if you're thinking about, well, why are we doing this? How are we going to bring value? If you're thinking of the customer first, then you're looking at the order approval flow. How are you helping your sales team out there with more tools? Because they can log in to the customer portal, for example, and make the order for customers, and they can log in and see what customers are ordering more of, or what they're trending, or what they're starting to not purchase much as. So it's an information tool for your sales team as much as anything else as well. How do you start personalizing content to make sure that you're serving them the only content and relevant content that they want? How do you find the new value and added services that may be missing already, or they may not be aware of that you offer today? So think of where you can do your upsells, cross sells, and just generally serve and add them value. It's not all about selling, it's about improving that lifetime value and making yourself a partner with them as opposed to a transaction that you're having. And that's where digital really is, because if you walk into a store, you can physically taste something, you can try the clothes on, you can do a retail transaction. But business is a little bit more nuanced, that you're selling in many instances an unknown quantity because you're selling a service in the future. You're selling a subscription of information that will come. And so therefore, how do I know that if I'm going to commit into you, that I'm going to get what I want back? And that's by selling confidence and information and clarity. So that's where digital needs to play a really hard kind of make a stronger effort around talking the client's customers' language. So if I've got 5 minutes, so what I will do is not jump through this. I will just pick out 3 things that I think is really salient and really good starting point to thinking about customer centrics, which is get out of the office and meet customers. Spend half a day in your customer service, or picking up the phone and actually asking your customers how things doing, or actually doing some of the service, and actually think about yourself and put yourself in customer's shoes and impersonate that customer, and just walk through the full journey end to end of what is it like to do business with you guys, and find out bits and just note and annotate where you think something could be improved. Phone up another competitor, phone up another type of business and see how they do things differently, and just start mapping that out. And you'll see that there are some holes and opportunities to make things better just by potentially having a different customer service Q&A. It doesn't need to be physically a digital solution at day one. And so I will leave you this one, which is how to become data as well, which will have a bunch of questions there. A key one is, are we defining our customer segment based on the business metrics that we're chasing, or the behaviors and needs of where our customers are after? So are you chasing the KPIs and the business numbers, or are you chasing service that's going to add value to your customers? And at a high level, these are the main pillars for success, which I will leave for the reading afterwards, because we've just covered it all. And I think that concludes my conversation. And apologies, Sarah, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to go through your component. But if everyone can hang on for another maybe 5 minutes after, that would be fantastic for Sarah to talk about the US Commerce Service.
As a matter of fact, we are out of time and we can't have. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry, I took up all the noise. I once I get talking, it's hard to stop. So hopefully some
over
of that
to
was
you,
interesting.
Sarah. Great information, Henry.
Yeah, Henry, no worries. You covered a lot. I am, my head is just kind of spinning.
Sorry.
No worries. Is somebody going to advance the slides for me, or should I take
can do
control?
That for you. I will move you
Okay.
on.
Yeah, so I'm going to just sort of gallop through these slides. I will pause on what I think are the most important ones. And Omar, I hope everyone will receive a copy of the slide deck, right? Perfect. Perfect. So for those of you who don't know me or my organization, some of you might know Brian, our mission at the U.S. Commercial Service is really to help create U.S. jobs. We want to do that by growing exports. Our goal is to help you export more of what you make here in the U.S. And sell it around the world and hire more people. That's our bottom line. How do we do that? Well, we have, we are the U.S. Department of Commerce, the U.S. government. We have a global network. We're in almost all of the U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. And our folks there are doing a couple of things. They are actively engaged in the business community so that when you contact me and say, hey, is there a market for my product in Brazil? How do I get in? I pick up the phone, or I guess these days send an email or set up a Teams chat and talk to my colleagues in Brazil. Hey, what's the market for this product? How do we get this person connected? We also have the government to government conversations going on too. Is there a market for your product? Yes, there is, but there's this trade barrier. Well, let's get the governments talking together to see how we can reduce those trade barriers and even the playing field for you. We're results driven. When you do well, that's when I get a bean in my jar, so to speak. All right, next slide, please. I'm not going to dwell on this except to point out there in the middle segment, our services basically fall into these 4 buckets. Export counseling. It costs you nothing to pick up the phone and call me or send me an email and say, hey, can you help with this problem? We have market intelligence ranging from big picture that's on our website, free to you for no charge, all the way down to specific services and market intelligence that we generate specifically for you. Business matchmaking, developing those face-to-face relationships, knowing that you're sitting down to talk with a legitimate trading partner is really important. And that's what we help facilitate with our business matchmaking services. And then the commercial diplomacy, that's where we get involved with government to government conversations, addressing those trade barriers, and also helping you make sales to foreign governments. Foreign government purchasing is a good export business too. Next slide, please. What I'm going to focus on now is our website globalization review service. This is next slide, please. Let's skip down to the next slide as well. The website globalization review is part of our digital strategy counseling that we offer. If you're in that crawl stage and you want to be walking, this is perfect for you. And Henry, I love how you described the crawl, walk, run, fly. That was great. So the first step really is define your digital objectives. And Henry did a great job of describing really how to approach that. Great stuff in that presentation by Henry. What we do is, we come in with our website globalization review service, which is basically a gap analysis of your website. Is it really getting the return on investment that you need it to do for you? And is it capturing as many eyeballs for you as it should? We'll point out some of the back end issues that you can address and why they are important. Now, I say this with the caveat that I'm an international trade specialist. I am not a website builder or techie person in the remotest sense of the word. So we will point out some issues. It is up to you and your technical experts to do the fixes. We will also help you understand the e-commerce channels. Do you need a shopping cart on your website? Maybe, maybe not. And then we can also help you understand KPIs and help you establish those. So it's really, like I said, it's the crawl to walk stage. Next
Sarah,
slide,
if I may,
yes.
may interject here for a minute. When we talk about ourselves as being in the international trade specialist arena, and we are advising you on commercializing your website or creating a website that is ready for the international marketplace. Keep in mind, in today's world, there's a lot of plug and play. You know, so the IT world has become so that it's not hard for you to actually, you know, create a website that is accepting credit cards. It's not hard for you to create a website that has a chat pod on it. It's not, you know, all these little things that come into this world. You're not scratching from zero. You're actually going out into the market space and finding out who can give me that plug and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we do have on our website, trade.gov, we do have our e-commerce pages, and we have a business service provider directory to help you understand who is in that arena that can help you with your shopping carts and things like that, and experts that you can turn to in case you get stuck on an issue. But that's I don't know. I want to talk about our WGR. So next slide, please. So to, you know, sort of the question on the previous slide was, is your website reaching the audience you want to reach? Is it getting those international eyeballs, if you will? And we provide this gap analysis service to help you understand if your you know, if your website is doing that for you. It's to help, you know, it's basically an SEO, a search engine optimization diagnostic service designed to help you acquire more international customers online. It's a report, sort of that square in the middle is kind of the cover page of a report, a WGR report. You know, it's designed to deliver an analysis of your current business website, focusing kind of on that SEO and the international look and feel of your website. Now, we're not translating anything for you. We're not telling you to create new pages in different languages or change all the colors or anything like that. But we're giving just a basic review of the impression your website provides to the customer from that international perspective. We're also including that technical and strategic evaluation of your website from that international marketing and sales perspective. It's a very cost-effective service. It's only $100 for a small, medium-sized company to utilize this service. And as I think Mary posted in the chat, she's more than happy to pay for it if you're part of the STEP program. So that, I mean, that in a nutshell is our WGR, and we would hope you, let's see, next slide, please. You know, this would be a service you might implement to get an understanding of what your website is doing well for you, where you can make some very small tweaks and strategic changes. It might also tell you that, yeah, it might be worth investing a little bit more money, or in some cases, a lot more money, for a professional to really take your website to the next level. Here are some success stories of companies that have used our WGR. You know, as you can see, I'm not going to read these, but I'll just kind of mention that some, you know, everybody's success with this service has been a little different. You know, some people have said, this was a success for me because I have a lot more data from my website now. I understand how to capture those KPIs and make them work for me. Some companies have increased their sales, which was very important to them. Others have increased their subscription service. So that's been effective for them. You know, others maximize their session duration. You know, they see that people are staying on their website longer, and that's an important KPI as well. Next slide, please. As we gallop to the finish line, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the human side of our services. We do offer a lot of services in the business-to-business matchmaking, as I mentioned before, helping you find legitimate trade partners. You know, taking your website from crawl to walk might also include finding someone in another country to manage a website for you specifically for that country. That can be an important part of your digital growth. We provide due diligence. If you've got a new trade partner, but before you sign the contract, you want to make sure they are who they say they are. In the middle of the slide there, I just mentioned a few of our 20 some odd global industry and global regional teams that are really helping to focus on certain industries, helping empower women's voices into the trade arena, and really helping us understand the diverse people who are very much an important part of our international trade arena. And let's see, next slide, please. These are the folks in Kentucky who you can call on if you have any questions for us or about our services. Brian and Mona are in Louisville. Chris Simpson handles Northern Kentucky for us out of our Cincinnati office. And there's a QR code that'll take you to our trade.gov webpage. And that is it for me, except for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I know
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Sarah. So let's open it up for questions. Who's got some questions?
We taught everyone everything they need to know.
Isn't that good? We're so
It's
good.
awesome. It's a great feeling.
I have more than a question, and that is, Henry, in terms of the way you were talking about your internationalization, or not internationalization, digitization, and how you have to be customer centric. A few years back, a major part of my career has been in innovation entrepreneurship. And a few years back, I was fortunate enough to go to Stanford University and be trained by the best on design thinking. And a lot of the language that you used in your presentation was very much focused on the process of design thinking and empathy map and things of that nature. And I was happy to see that. And what it boils down to is being very much focused on the customer. I think we love Apple products in many ways because they're really designed with the customer in mind. And Steve Jobs was friends to David. I can't remember last day. They're all at the D school. They're all in the entrenched in this whole idea of how can you be more customer centric and how can you be more focused on that. And I think as we develop our products and services, we need to be more focused on that. I'm getting emotional talking about this. That's how much I care about it. No, I'm choking up. I don't know. Anyhow, any questions?
Allergies.
You're totally right. What I wrote down I didn't say is that it's not about UX is the bigger thing that you'll hear. Everyone talks about user experience, UX, UI. That's not what this is. Customer centricity is having the mindset of your customer and how they're physically doing things and want things from you. And it's the design and the veneer and the way that's important, but it's really understanding their needs and motivations. And Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were classed as enemies, but they had shares in each other. They talked to each other a lot of the time. They were moving industry together. And if you think about your competitors, it can be quite lonely. I've run my own business as well, and you sit there and go, oh, I'm doing this on my own. Look at other sites. You'll find lots of peer reviews. You'll find other competitors who are a bit left of what you're selling, but they're doing the same thing. You can talk to them. It doesn't need to be lonely as a leader or in a business itself. And we should encourage that knowledge share, which is why we have these forums today, which is businesses are trying to do business. They're not really directly waking up every day thinking, how do I destroy the other people? They want to sell. You want to sell your product and you want to serve your customers well. it's good to talk and learn, and it's the information is out there, and I think we're forgetting we can pick up phones and actually call people and talk to as well. I'd advocate that. Hear what's going on.
All right, any questions, comments, feedback? All right, everyone.
Omar, I guess
Oh, no.
I would just yeah. So I think this was our first opportunity to get in front of this group. I would say also, if there are any other topics, you know, we went pretty high level with this one, but if there's other topics of interest, either reach out to me or Omar or Sarah on what else you would like to hear more, learn more about, and we can do another session like this on a different topic, on a deep dive or something like that. We'd be happy to do that.
We've also, Martin and I talked about face-to-face workshops, so we will be looking at that too. So, you know, we want to hear from you, what your needs are. We look forward to interacting with you because you are our customers, and we're going to make sure that you're happy and satisfied. All right. Anyone else? Any comments?
Omar, I just want to say thank you for organizing this. It's been a pleasure to work with Henry, Martin, and Margie to pull this together. So just want to say thank you all.
Yeah, I'll be remiss if I don't talk about what's going on next with the World Trade Center before we close here. July the 12th, we've got our Global Executive Forum at the Olmsted. Please join us for that. And then July the 25th, many of our Kentucky companies that are importing from China are looking for new avenues right now. And we decided to actually bring in top speakers from Vietnam to tell us about that market space. And the Consul General will be available to share their input about setting up your business in Vietnam and moving in that direction. So just in the next 2 months, these are some of the activities that will be happening on. Otherwise, look at the website, and you know, we've got a slew of exciting things happening at the World Trade Center. Good luck and enjoy your day.
Thank you. Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.